When Donkey Kong Bonanza was first announced, I was very excited for it, and I'm not even a huge DK fan. Honestly, I think I was just excited for a new 3D Donkey Kong game after almost 3 decades. And also, maybe it was seeing someone else take the spotlight for a Nintendo platformer other than Mario. Don't get me wrong, I love Mario. It's probably my third favorite gaming franchise, but it was kind of exciting to see Donkey Kong get some love. But one thing I was not expecting from this game was for it to get such universal praise from critics and players. 10 out of 10s across the board, with some people saying that it was the best platformer ever made. I always intended on getting this game, but all of these positive reviews coming in sold me to get it on day one. So I'm here today to answer the question, is Donkey Kong Bonanza really that good? Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. Real quick before I start this video, there will be spoilers for the endgame, and you might be asking, why the hell should I care about spoilers for a Donkey Kong game? But trust me, especially if you're a big DK fan, the endgame is bonkers, so full spoiler warning, you've been warned. Let's waste no time, so sit down, grab a snack, and let's just get right into it. I did not think I would be making a whole section for the story for this video, but surprisingly, Bonanza actually has a story. It's not this gritty and mature story that dives into deep adult topics, but like for a Donkey Kong game, it could be worse. In most DK games, the story essentially boils down to Big Monkey wants bananas, but in this game, the story is Big Monkey wants bananas and is also a parental figure, and also capitalism is bad. It's said that the planet core will grant anyone's wishes, so the main characters try to get there and grant their wish first. DK wants bananas, Pauline wants to go back to the surface, and the Void Company wants infinite gold, or at least Void Kong does. The other two Kongs are really just in it for the paycheck. I also didn't expect to get attached to the two main characters, especially considering one of them cannot talk, but surprisingly, I was honestly really invested in them. The dynamic between Pauline and DK is really cute. They feel like really good friends, and even like a dad and a daughter at times. There's these little huts that you can build throughout the game, and whenever you use them, Pauline will wake you up and talk to you about questions that she has, little thoughts running through her mind, or a dream that she just had, or something along those lines. You have the option to skip through them, but I honestly never did because of how charming they are. Anyways, that's basically all I'll say on the story for now. Again, it's very basic, it's nothing crazy, but I feel like it deserved its own little segment. But don't worry, we'll get back to the story later. This game has some of the most addicting gameplay I've ever experienced in a platformer. DK has a lot of moves at his disposal, from punching, digging, rolling, turf surfing, swimming, singing, and so much more. Every button on your controller does something different, and I'm honestly surprised that Nintendo decided to use their controllers to the fullest potential, because they don't usually do that. Anyways, your two main objectives are to get from point A to point B, and to explore to find bananas, which are basically this game's equivalent to Mario Odyssey's Power Moons. This game takes the Breath of the Wild approach to puzzles, where any solution is the right solution. For example, I could use a boom rock to blow up some of this concrete, or you could just use Kong Bonanza and break it that way. And don't worry, we'll get to Bonanza powers later. However, unlike Odyssey, where you have to collect a certain amount of Power Moons before you can go to the next area, you don't have to collect anything to beat this game. Yeah, you can go through the entire game without needing to collect a single banana. Now, it'll be an extremely hard experience if you try to go bananaless, because bananas are used to gain skill points, which you can use to get more hearts, upgrade your punch power, and more. And trust me, you're gonna want to use skill points, especially in the late game, because it can get intense. Like I said earlier, DK has a lot of different moves that he can use, but I didn't really touch on how fluid the the movement is. It's really hard to explain without actually getting some hands-on experience with it. You genuinely feel so powerful using DK's punching and climbing and everything else. I thought the marketing of you can break the entire level was just an over-exaggeration and that you would only be able to break certain parts of the level, but no, you could literally break an entire level if you wanted to. Bananza powers are a concept that are new to this game, and they're pretty cool. You can activate them with Pauline singing and having enough gold, and when you use them, DK unlocks new powers depending on which Bananza you use. The Kong Bananza is basically just normal DK if he drank a white monster and allows you to be even more destructive, letting you break things at lightning speed and even break things that normal DK can't. Zebra Bananza has you running at super speed, letting you cross collapsing bridges and catch up to enemies quicker. Ostrich Bananza lets you fly a little before gliding, which you can use to get to certain areas with ease. Elephant Bananza gives you the power to suck. You can use your trunk to suck up debris and even lava and turn it into chunks that you can throw at enemies, use to turf surf, use zip lines, and so much more. Finally, Snake Bananza, which lets you jump super high or activate slow motion to help you with quick moving objects. I was worried that these powers were going to be too powerful and you could use them to easily just cheese some boss fights and puzzles. The only downside to these powers is that you need gold, but gold is so common that it's basically a non-issue, and at first I was able to just blow through boss fights with Kong Bananza like it was nothing. Some of the fights deadass only took me like 15 seconds max. However, as the game went on, the Bananzas became more of an integral part to the fights rather than something you can use to just skip them. And using some of the Bananza powers is required for some puzzles where you really have to use your brain to solve them. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Nope, not that one. I'm talking about the frame drops. Guys, they really aren't that bad. Almost every single video I've seen of people reviewing this game, it's always the frame drops are terrible. They're some of the worst I've ever seen in a video game. Now, I don't know if I just had a great playthrough, but I rarely encountered frame issues when I was playing. I'd say like 97% of the time, I had stable frames, and the times where I did have issues, it would be for like 2 seconds max. And the frame drops always happened in places where it made sense. It was never just randomly when I was walking around. It was always when I was smashing through some tight spaces or when there were tons of gold particles on my screen or something like that. It was never just like randomly my frames would just drop to 30. It would always be in climactic moments or moments where it was really pushing the system to its limits. The frame drops are noticeable, but they're so few and far between that it really just was not an issue for me personally. There is just so much charm in this game, and if there's one thing that I would call this game, it would be the amount of love and care put into this game is astonishing. This game was made by the same team that made Mario Odyssey, and you can tell. There are so many references to previous DK games, whether it's little arcade cabinets of the OG Donkey Kong or entire side-scrolling levels inspired by the Donkey Kong Country games. It's been 11 years since the last Donkey Kong game, we don't count this one, and 25 years since the last 3D entry in the series. The devs had a lot of time to flesh out this game and all the references in it, and my god, you can tell just how much these people cared for Donkey Kong as a franchise. Except the lore, they completely threw that out of the window with Kid Pauline, but in all honesty, I doubt that there are any people who are that upset about the Donkey Kong lore being retconned, but this game just feels like a love letter to the rare era of Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Country, DK64, all of these games, you can just tell that the devs love that era of Donkey Kong, and they put their heart and soul into this game. Speaking of Donkey Kong references, let's talk about the absolute emotional roller coaster that was the final act. If you've made it this far in the video and completely ignored my spoiler warning at the beginning of the video, if you haven't played through the game yet and plan to soon, please click off of this video now. The ending to this game is insane and is best experienced without spoilers. You've been warned. The ending starts off with you making it to the Forbidden Lair, and something is off about this place. The characters you've interacted with before, who used to be nice and always happy, are now telling you to turn back and are sorta just mean. You make it to the end of the level and you find Void Kong and the Banandium root, a powerful root that can make any wish come true. Void Kong then drops a bombshell revealing that the only way to activate the Banandium root is through Pauline singing, so he was purposefully luring her and DK down to the core to activate it. So naturally, Pauline says, "I'm not singing for you, you freak," and so the final battle begins. You can't use any of your Bananza powers because you can't sing, so the battle can get pretty challenging, especially if you've gotten used to relying on them. But once you defeat him, Void Kong turns DK into a rock, and the only way to free him is through Pauline's voice. Since she doesn't want to lose her friend, she sings with all her heart. Seriously, like Jesus Christ, how did she not lose her voice? Just listen to this. The singing works and DK is free. Huzzah. But so is the Banandium root. As Void Kong rushes over, he jumps on top, about to grant his wish. But at the last second,
he's back!
King K. Rool is back, baby! Hell yeah! My low-tier Smash Bros. GOAT finally makes his grand return. It's been almost 2 decades since this guy's last appearance in a mainline DK game, and after seeing his eye pop open, I was filled with so much hype. My mom called me and asked if I was okay because of how much I was screaming at this reveal. Anyways, now that K. Rool is back, he's going after the real Banandium root now because, plot twist, this isn't actually the planet core. And double plot twist, all of the gold skeleton enemies that you've been fighting have been the Kremlin crew this entire time. As you go through the planet core, beating up some enemies, doing some platforming, and even some boss fights, you make your way to the Banandium root, but it's too late. King K. Rool has his hands on it and grants his wish, turning him into basically a Super Saiyan. This boss fight is intense. Even now that you can use the Bananza powers, it's still a very challenging fight. Once you defeat him, you ask the Banandium root to grant your wishes, and all of a sudden you're flying on a tower of bananas going to the surface. Title card, roll credits with Gangplank Galleon playing in the background. But these aren't the real credits. In fact, they're just the credits. K. Rool wakes up and uses his propeller pack to catch up to you, charging at you and trying to take the Banandium root for himself. Constant attacks coming your way on top of this giant tower of golden bananas, all while a rock remix of Gangplank Galleon is blasting in the background, makes for one of the best moments in the game. In the end, you make it back to the surface, and New Donk City, oh my god. Pauline makes it back to her home city and celebrates with DK. Oh yeah, King K. Rool's here too, and goddammit, he transforms New Donk into a rotten hellscape, leading to a long platforming section before fighting him one last time in a boxing ring, just like in DK64. After finally beating him for real this time, New Donk City is saved, and DK and Pauline go their separate ways, thus ending Donkey Kong Bananza. Man, what a game. If you watch this video fully, you can probably pick up on the fact that I love this game. Almost every single 3D platformer I've played, I thoroughly enjoyed, and Donkey Kong Bonanza is no exception. To answer the question at the beginning of the video, does this game deserve the hype? Yes, it 100% does. This is my personal game of the year and is probably my new favorite platformer ever. And before you say, oh, Expedition 33 this, oh, Death Stranding 2 that, I said my game of the year. In this day and age on the internet, people can't seem to fathom the fact that I personally don't agree with the general public. Now granted, I haven't finished Expedition 33 yet. I'm in the process of playing it right now. I think it's a great game so far. For me, it's for sure a game of the year contender. It's just not my personal game of the year. It's crazy to me how Nintendo didn't make this the launch title for the Switch 2. Don't get me wrong, I love Mario Kart World and it's probably one of my new favorite Mario Karts, but it's not nearly as big of a system seller as Bonanza is. This is like the Switch 1 launching with ARMS instead of Breath of the Wild. I'm not even that big of a DK fan. I think the first two country games in DK64 are pretty great and the rest are just good. Not bad by any means, but they didn't just hook me in the same way. But this game hooked me right from the opening level and I knew I was in for a masterpiece of a video game. And there's still so many aspects on this game that I didn't talk about in this video, like the music or the insane speedrunning community that this game already has. One thought that crossed my mind while I was writing this script is that this game is going to be the game that a generation of kids grows up with. This game is going to be to this generation what Mario Galaxy was to my generation, and I'm so glad that's the case. This is one of those games that reminds you of why you love gaming so much. 10 out of 10. Hey you guys, welcome to the end card. If you've made it this far, you guys are super awesome. If you guys are new to the channel, hi, my name is Trey, and I like games. I talk about all kinds of games on this channel, so I'm not just a Nintendo YouTuber, so if you just found me from this video or my Switch 2 video, and you're just worried that I'm just gonna post Nintendo videos, don't. I have some Kingdom Hearts videos planned, I have a Final Fantasy video planned in the future. I'm planning to do a lot of different stuff. But yeah, it would really mean the world to me if you liked this video, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. It really does help the video in the algorithm, and you know, supporting small creators is pretty cool. Thank you guys so much for the overwhelming support on the last video, like almost 8,000 views for my first video, and the amount of here before you blow up comments were so kind, and I really do appreciate you guys. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. My name is Trey. It's been a pleasure. Peace out.